welcome back to the last part of the show. We've joined Eoin in the kitchen. Remind us again what's on the menu.
Beouf Bourguignon with creamy mashed potatoes. So it's like a fancy Irish stew, I always say. The only difference is the addition of red wine. So it's a French dish, lots of wine is always used there. But it's really, like, if you look at a template of this and an Irish stew, it's really, really similar.
Really, is it?
A can of Guinness might go into the Irish stew. But oftentimes I throw red wine into mine as well. So it's a really nice one. It's a great kind of winter one. It's all done in the one pot, which is the ones that we love to do.
Better again.
We start off with some bacon lardons. So I have them in the pot, just kind of gradually bring them up to temperature, and they'll start to render. You'll pull the fat out of them, and we'll cook everything in that fat then, okay?
Okay.
So the bacon is in there. We have some beef chunks. So it can be kind of offcuts of cheaper steaks, or it can be stewing beef, or it's kind of a great way to use up cheaper cuts of meat, because you don't necessarily need a fillet steak to make a stew.
It's because it'll just be so tender anyway.
Exactly. It's going to cook for so long, it's going to tender anyway. So it's, you know, it's a really kind of good, inexpensive way to use up those kind of cuts of meat. And steaks are great, and mince, whatnot, but you can get these kind of really nice offcuts of the steaks that wouldn't be really used for anything else but stews and stuff like that. So.
And sorry, when you were frying the bacon, did you pop in any oil or anything? Or?
I did a tiny bit of oil, but you don't need much.
Okay.
If you start on a kind of a gradual heat and bring it up temperature, you'll pull the fat out of the bacon. Same like making a carbonara, you'd start with the bacon lardons there as well. So similar kind of.
And there'll be fat coming off the meat as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you'll see you can kind of cook that down. So our beef goes in, brown that off. If you want, you can take that out now and leave it sit and then do the rest. I'm going to leave it in there. It's absolutely fine. We don't need to fully cook it. I've just browned it. So if I can pull one out and show you, you can see you're just kind of getting a brown colour on the outside. It's not cooked the whole way through, but it's going to cook for an hour.
Yeah,
so
well,
it will be
there
finished
for a while,
in the end.
Yeah. Okay, so
our,
what else is going in?
Our veg. So we have white onion.
Okay.
We have 2 cloves of garlic. Popped it in, and 1 or 2 carrots, depending on how many people you're feeding.
And you didn't peel the carrots either?
No, I never do. Well, they're washed and
That's all you need.
They're clean, yeah. So pop them in, give it a stir through. And again, you can go wild here. You can put in any veg you want, really. I'll traditionally be onion, carrot, maybe some pearl onions too in a French one. But if you're at home, if you have celery, if you have courgettes, if you have, we're going to put mushrooms in, pop them in. Again, it's a good kind of family, wholesome dinner, okay? So give that a stir through. Give it maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Let them kind of brown down. Let them sweat out. We're going to do a tablespoon or 2 of flour or cornstarch. Okay. Pop that in. That's going to help us create our sauce. So pop that in. Stir it through, and you'll get this kind of floury smell now. That's going to stick and coat.
For people who love to batch cook on a Sunday to get ahead of the week, is this a good one for that?
One of the best ones you can do, because it literally gets better with time. The longer you can give that, absolutely, and that sauce will thicken up, and it's like a bolognese, all that kind of stuff. Oftentimes, the next day they're even better. They've had time to kind of relax in the fridge, and they develop, and it only gets better with time.
And
so,
because it's beef, you're going to get a couple of days out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our flour is in there, so we can start to build the sauce now. Okay, really simple. First thing, I'm going to do some tomato puree. Okay, pop that in. That's going to give us a kind of nice red richness. Stir that through. Okay. Then we're going to do
it up a little.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We're going to do a stock cube. Just pop that in. Any Jello stock cube at all. We'll do a generous glass of wine.
Right.
Okay, so a red wine. Pop it in.
Oh, he is being generous with the wine.
Depends on what you consider now a generous glass.
I hope you never pour me a glass of wine. I'll be asking for a top up. Now, you've used Spanish wine.
Yes, I have.
So are you fussy about that?
Not necessarily, no, not necessarily.
It's Thursday. It's practically the weekend, Martin.
Usually, I'd always say, whatever wine you're happy to drink with the meal, use it in the dish. People often say...
It's a waste. You don't use a cheaper wine or...
Not necessarily. Again, I wouldn't... You can use cheap wine if you want, but it's going to have an impact on the dish.
Okay.
So,
you're
pulling away from the dish. Again, don't go crazy. Don't put the whole bottle in, but a small glass, you'll be able to afford to allow it to go in, okay?
And as we always say, if you're thinking of making this for your kids, the alcohol burns off.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was just about to say, so you'll see... Let that kind of cook down. You can smell the red wine straight away, but that burns off. So you get a beautiful colour, but that wine flavour kind of falls away, really. So we'll put in some water. This is with the stock itself. Lovely. And that essentially is the basis of the dish made. So we'll season it.
So that has some beef stock in it, does it? What you've just put in?
I put in the stock cube there, sorry. So ideally, you could dilute that stock cube down if you wanted. Mix that through. We have some fresh thyme. Pop that in. We can pull those sprigs out later on if you want. Do a small few mixed herbs. Okay, you can do a few bay leaves too if you wanted. Pinch of black pepper. And then I have some mushrooms. So you can kind of leave these off until the end if you want. They cook really quickly. I'll pop them in now just for show, but usually, actually, traditionally what they would do, they'd fry them off separately with some garlic and then add them in at the very end. So you kind of get them kind of fried off. So perfect. So let that relax, let that do its thing. Put in a nice bit of liquid, leave it come up. It will boil off. Yeah. What you'll get,
it will reduce down.
This one.
Is this after an hour or so on a low heat?
This is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. On a nice low heat. Every now and then go in, give it a kind of stir. You could put it into like a Dutch oven or a casserole dish, pop it into the oven itself, and that would work fine.
Tip it towards this camera here,
just towards
so
camera
we can
3.
get a good look at it.
Get a look at that there.
Lovely, look at that.
So you can see it does reduce down, and just keep letting it simmer on a nice low heat. So mashed potato, you can serve it with rice, you can serve it with whatever you want, but I love mashed potato, especially with kind of
in France, would this be served with like crusty bread or something?
It's commonly done with mash. You'd be surprised.
Okay.
Rice often is done with it as well. But it kind of is great on its own. You can even put whole potatoes in there and like a kind of beef stew itself, okay? So with the mash, I just diced up your potatoes, butter, and salt and pepper. Small bit of cream if you want to go indulgent. So I'll always pop that in the center of the plate. Again, like the wine, you can be as generous and as liberal with the mash as you like. Coming from a country house now, it's usually we're fighting for the spoon.
And then we're getting country portions.
We are gonna, that's all right with me.
And then you're nice, so your beef is nice and tender, you have this beautiful veg in around, and that sauce is nice and thick. A good way of telling if the sauce is done. So I'll serve it up and I'll show you then.
Just want to say that we started the show with the gorgeous Mary Black, who I have a full girl crush on. We have a fantastic competition to give away 2 tickets. We want to check out our socials for the details on how you can enter. That's for the gig on October the 31st. And head to Ticketmaster if you want to check out her dates all around the country. Or in the Netherlands, if you fancy catching
if you're heading to Utrecht, that's where she's going to be fairly soon. Owen, this is gorgeous. We're looking forward to tucking in.
Last way to do it, if you put your spoon in and rub your finger through the back, if it holds the channel, that's how you know it's ticking.
Okay. That's all we got time for tonight. A big thank you to all of our guests for joining us, and of course to Eoin Sheehan for dinner.
It's very hot carrot, it's delicious.